Welcome to the Pretty Sister Podcast. I'm your host, Callie Stoyer, and I'm so happy you're here today. This is a place for you to feel included and feel the bonds of sisterhood. And I want you to know that you are worthy, beautiful, seen, loved, and I'm just so happy that you're here and choosing to be with me today. So I have a special guest with me today that I'm so excited to bring to you. This is my longtime friend, Kim Thomas, and she's so special to me. Particularly, I'm going to tell you for many reasons, but one is I've shared before. I've been a little bit vulnerable, and this has been a bit of a challenge to start this podcast and to move forward in what I'm doing. But Kim has been somebody who has encouraged me and has seen and listened, taken the time to listen to the podcast and reached out and said, you're doing a good thing and this is an important message. And I thought, you know what? It's because you live and breathe these concepts of sisterhood and as a pretty sister, which she actually is not a childhood friend of mine. We met later in life. And so you don't really know the history of pretty sisters per se, but you have completely innately, just naturally lived these principles, and you're a supporter of women. And so she was supporting me and encouraging me, and I appreciate that.
Yes, I love your message. I love that the world needs this.
Oh,
so I love it.
Thank you. Well, and so we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about how this and why this resonates with you.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you some questions. Is that okay?
It's awesome.
All right.
I'm ready.
So I know around the time that we met, actually, was when you were dating your husband, Kyle, who was my brother's best friend throughout high school.
And I don't know if you know this, he had a crush on you.
Well, I think, during high school, of course, I had crushes on my brother's older friends,
Well, he would never tell Rob this. I will get in so much trouble. But he did.
That's right. The little sisters, off limits. And then, of course, I always had crushes on all of the older brothers in the house. So it was such a fun thing as a little sister to have that. So Kyle was amazing.
Yeah.
Always considered him to be such a good friend. And you married him. And you were the one who won Kyle. He won you.
I know. It was an amazing way that we came together because I didn't grow up here. I grew up in California. And I was a California girl, true and true. Like I just lived that lifestyle, and I actually met Kyle on his mission. He was my last missionary as I was taking discussions in the LDS church.
Wow.
And
Scott, I don't know if I'm sure I knew that at some point, but forgot about that.
Well, I had, I was born into like a Catholic faith with the family, but we didn't go to church regularly or anything like that. So I never really had a faith growing up. And later in life, there were some things that happened through my 20s. I had a boyfriend that had committed suicide. After we had broken up, he got into drugs. There was, the whole lifestyle out there. A lot of things were very trauma. Really difficult things. And it really propelled me to start asking questions about what this life is about. Why are we here? What am I supposed to be doing? And, what's the purpose of all this? And then I came across the LDS church and I was checking it out. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer during this time. And
you got to have some real challenges thrown at you at a young age. I remember meeting you, and you were a breast cancer survivor at that point.
Yeah.
Still pretty young.
Yeah.
And
in my 20s.
Yes. And that was impressive.
Yeah.
You were a warrior.
Yeah. It was something that kind of, I feel like, in retrospect, it was a huge blessing in my life because it kind of got me to stop in my tracks and reassess what I was doing in my life. Where are you going? I was a career, hard-charging, driven woman. I was a feminist to the core, never had dreams of getting married, never desired to get, I came from a twice divorced family.
Okay. So you were thinking that's not for me.
I did not want to be married. I didn't even want kids. I didn't have that nurturing in my 20s. It was kind of, I lived that quintessential LA career, selfish lifestyle. For me, that, I just thought about what my progress was going to be in my corporate life.
And isn't it amazing how those trials and adversity always are directing us and shaping us into the person we're supposed to be?
It does.
Pointing us in these directions that if we can see it and recognize, and we've talked about this before, but when you can just learn to embrace the trials and just figure out, okay, where am I supposed to go with this? What am I supposed to learn? And just know during the trial that there's a real big golden nugget on the other side. Like, I think that would, if we understood that more, we wouldn't wish things away so much as we're going through them. Because it's always, I mean, everyone can usually say in hindsight, it's 2020. I get it now. But how much more beautiful, like during the trial, if you just kind of hold on to the thought that everything works out for me.
Yes.
I know I'm getting better, stronger, learning from this, then you wouldn't have to hate the trials. Right. Because we usually hate the trial.
Yeah.
It's most of the time.
Especially at that age too. I mean, everything's a roller coaster anyway in your life, and you're just trying to figure out, who am I in this world? And I worked in a very male dominated field in surgical sales. And so I didn't have a lot of close girlfriends at the time. I had girlfriends that I actually would go dancing with. That was our connection. And I had one amazing childhood friend, and she chose to get married young, which was unusual for out there, and start her family. So for a few years, we were kind of living separate. So we weren't super. Yeah, I thought I was, but we were living kind of separate lives. But to this day, we're still best friends. I mean, we have girls' trips now. We connect now, and we're going to talk about that.
Something special about those young friends, because there's so much history.
There's so much, and they love you no matter what you go through.
They've known you before this and before that and before that.
Yes,
they stick with you through thick and thin.
In fact, I just saw her this summer. We just had a wonderful weekend out by the beach, and just talked about all the evolution of our lives. We're grandmothers now. So it's really fun. That's all we talk about now, our grandkids. So it's really, really fun. It's fun to see her evolve. She had her children young, and then she's been able to travel and do all that, where I traveled and did a lot before I got married, and then got married, and then had my kids, and it changed my world. But I never, ever anticipated getting married or having kids.
And so what changed? Well, I'll tell you.
Well, what changed is that breast cancer.
Yes.
Because first of all, it's not in my family. I don't carry the genetics for it. I was a marathon runner, super fit. But I look back and I think about the lifestyle I led was really just stressful, hard charging. I had a lot of childhood trauma and just some things. I think I look back and I think, okay, I could see how that happened in my life. But it was the best thing that ever happened. And I remember my mom saying to me, and my mom's such my dear friend now, so wonderful. But she said, I wish I could take this trial away from you, because I had to lose a breast. I had a mastectomy, and she was so devastated for me. And to me, I was like, no, I'm still here, and I still have you, Mom. My mom lost her mom in her late 20s. So I still have my mom. So I looked at it like, I'm just losing a breast. It's not very big. It's not a big part of who I am. So it's okay. I'll be okay with it. So.
Well, and as mothers, don't we want to do that? You want to take that pain away from your child. You want to fix it. You want to be able to save them. But the greatest gift we can always give our kids is to not do it. And sometimes we'd be taking away that learning experience. We'd be taking away all that growth and opportunity that comes through those hardships.
Yeah, it was the best thing that ever happened.
Your mom couldn't do that for you. You had to go through that.
You know what? I actually, honestly, Callie, I needed some humbling, and I think we all do. I mean, some people are just designed that way, but I was in a very competitive world, and I thought that's what you needed to have success in this world. And so, I was trying to be as tough as the guys, and talk like them, act like them, and do all the things. And I had great success at the time, but it was really empty. I felt something was really missing. And then some series of things happened with that. I broke up with a guy I was dating. He got into drugs, and I was trying to fix him with tough love and make him quit. And so we finally broke up, and he ended up committing suicide down the road. He was in another relationship already, but that was devastating. That's when I was like, wow, what am I doing? I felt like I was on a hamster wheel.
and really trying to find yourself
and trying to find myself,
who you are.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that when we're trying to be something we're not, you were saying you're trying to act like the men and face tough.
Yeah.
Something that you're really not, because you were in this feminist, which was more the early stages of feminism.
Yeah.
You weren't happy. You weren't thriving when you're trying to be something that you're not. And not that women, because I'm a big proponent of women being successful and having careers and fulfilling their full potential, whatever that might be. But the key is figuring out who you are and being individually and uniquely you, not trying to be something else, something that you're not.
I felt like I was going against my nature. And I didn't know I had that nature. I didn't know that was even in there or possible. And I was fighting against it. And by worldly standards, I was really successful. I was, I had a great 2-bedroom apartment. I was living life, just going, dancing every weekend, had great friends,
But an empty fun.
Kind of an empty fun.
Okay, so then you got married.
I did.
And then you had 2 beautiful girls.
I did.
And so things changed for you.
It did. And that was interesting too, because Kyle, my husband, was just starting his business, and so it was my job that helped get us in our first house. So my friends, Kyle's a few years younger than me, and my friends are like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "You should be dating the doctors that you sell to." And I'm like, "No, I don't like their egos." I shouldn't say that.
Well, and you did find somebody completely opposite of that when it comes to ego, because I know Kyle, and he's a
super humble
man.
And my friends were just like, he came home from his mission. He's living with his mom. And they're like, he doesn't even have a car. He lives with us. What are you doing? And I'm like, they were looking at it from an outside perspective. They had no idea who he was. And the connection we had was so incredible and very spiritual. And there was something I recognized. I knew within a month of dating him, I could marry him. Wow. And that went against everything I ever thought.
You saw his potential.
I did.
And I think that's a gift that we give others when we can see who they are and see their potential, not where they are necessarily in the moment, but what they can become.
Yes.
I've always said with my kids, I think that's one of my superpowers is I see their potential.
Yes.
And I focus on that.
Yes.
And so instead of seeing the things they're doing wrong, because kids do things wrong, they break curfew, they, all the things that teenagers will do specifically, because a lot of women will tell me, oh, the teenagers are the worst. And I'm like, the teenagers are the most.
They're exciting.
They're so amazing. But I think it's because I really focus in on their potential and seeing who I see them to be. So when they make the mistakes, we don't really look at that too much. I'm not worried about that, because I'm not worried about those things as much as I'm worried about who they're becoming and who they will become. And the more we can hold people to that, then they rise to it.
Yeah.
I agree. And Kyle, you must have seen a lot in him, because that man became very successful.
So you know what? It's
way more than any doctor would be.
Well, you know what? It's
honestly, if you look at it just from the financial, monetary success.
It's weird, Callie, because I worked for years and I was self-sufficient, and I never thought I wouldn't work. I never thought. And my girlfriend's giving me a hard time. I was like, he's not my meal ticket. I'm going to take care of myself. And if he doesn't make money, fine, I'll pay for us. I just was like, I was fine with that. And
loves enough.
It's funny because 3 years into it, when I became pregnant with Taylor, I worked through my pregnancy and I had her early. I was working hard and I was carrying equipment, going up and down steps. And so I ended up having her early. And my mother-in-law watched her for that first year for a few days. I took a day off, and then Kyle took a day off. And then not a day off, but you know what I mean? Like, he worked from home and I worked from home. And then she took her 3 days, and then she had to go back to work, and I got pregnant with Riley. And it was so much. I was covering 4 states. I was just traveling a lot. And so I decided, my mother-in-law, when she went back to work, I thought, I'm just going to take 2 years off. 2 years off. I don't want to be stay-at-home mom. I'm going to take 2 years off.
So the softening was still occurring.
It was happening.
Yes. Well, I'm the career woman.
When I first got married, I kept my name, and I did not change to Kyle's name. I kept my own bank account. I just did some things, and within just a few years, all that kind of went away. I changed my name. We merged our accounts. I just was like, this is, I think I had to build trust.
Uh-huh.
And I think we do that in
Important.
all of our relationships, our female relationships, our friendships. There's a trust that builds. And that's what's cool about getting to our age, because we have this whole lifetime and wealth of friendships and trust that's been built, that sometimes in your 20s, you're scrabbling for that. You don't know who you are and you don't know who your friends are. And you're not, it's a challenge. So I actually love being at this stage of life.
Isn't it a wonderful stage?
It's a good stage.
Where you can look back with experience.
Yeah.
And in our case right now, trying to share some of that experience.
And help each other.
And
that's what I decided that I would stay home with my kids. And I stayed home for 15 years and never looked back.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was Kyle had started our landscape business and I was doing the books on graph paper. We didn't have the internet.
So you were helpful.
I was helping him. Yes. I was trying to help out, and then it outgrew me, and then it took off and it flourished. And then I got so busy with the girls, and we were, I look back at those years and I'm like, those were my life's projects right there, these girls. And now they're my best friends. Yeah. And that's a friendship that I feel so blessed to have with my daughters too. So I never looked back. I was really grateful for those years and grateful for that time with them.
Yeah, I love that you said that, friendship with your daughters, because that is so important. This is about friendship and sisterhood in all forms. And so, it's with friends. We're friends.
Yeah.
But our family are our friends.
Yeah.
As daughters, you've raised them and you probably went through some hard times when they were young, but to have them be adults now and be your good friend.
Yeah.
It takes on, it changes. That mother-daughter relationship does change over time. And you want to preserve it and keep it as loving as possible, because they can be some of your best friends. I'm experiencing that with my oldest daughter, who's married, and she is just a delight. I mean, such a great friend.
And she probably teaches you as much.
Oh, she does. Yeah. It's like, wow, I'll see things that I thought I taught her, but then she's mirroring it back in a way that's way better than me. And then there's such pride in knowing that I've done my job in raising a better generation. I mean, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And when you get to see that, it's so fun and fulfilling.
It is fulfilling. Yeah. My girls, they definitely teach me a lot. And my youngest daughter bought me these jeans. It's like, Mom, we got to fix you in some ways.
Yeah, always. Sometimes in those teachings, do we really want them or not? The mom, you really shouldn't be wearing that, or you got to wear this.
Yeah.
We, they're real. They tell us the truth, these daughters.
And, I found as I got older and developed into the person, becoming a mother, it really changed me and my relationship with my mom. Because I was that teenager that was a little rebellious. And I had a teenager that was rebellious. Yeah. And I learned raising daughters, oh my gosh, what my mother sacrificed and what she had to go through. Plus, she was divorced a couple times, and it was exponentially more difficult for her. And I learned to really appreciate her strength and her her perseverance. And I've learned a lot from my mother and my mother-in-law. So I consider them my close friends as well too. And now, over the years with my girls staying home, those 15 years is when I developed some of my closest friendships too, because through school, I have this group of girlfriends that we get together for lunch, and we're still close, even though our kids are grown now. And, through their dance community and just,
Well, isn't that true when you're in the trenches during those years of raising children, that you can really create some bonds of friendship as you circle and help each other through that process? I know that it makes it so much better to be doing that with friends, helping each other, carpools, all of that. I bet you experienced that a lot.
Did. Yeah. And just, helping each other with what we were going through with, having toddlers and then having, kids in elementary school. And we've still stayed, and now we are starting to have the empty nesters and getting, having grandchildren, and we've stayed close. And, women I've met, in my neighborhood and in my church, I still have these close relationships that, I find so much strength from and so much love from. And I feel that through them and through those connections, I've become such a better person. I am not just mono-focused on what I wanted to accomplish in my career. I stayed home, but I still have been, I went back to work when the girls were in high school, later high school. And, but my horizons were so much wider. It wasn't just like this job, this is all I have, and this is who I am. Not at all. It's a small, tiny portion of who I am.
Right. So as you were fostering these friendships, raising your girls, how did that influence them? What was it like for them growing up? Because I know teenage girls can have, a hard time with friends. Mm-hmm. What was the experience for your girls? Did they make friends easily? Did they value sisterhood and friendship the way that you value it? And did it come easily to them or not?
My oldest daughter is more of an introvert. So we were talking earlier, and I was telling you about that the world is full of way more introverts than extroverts. Mm-hmm. So she's more introverted. From the time she was so little, she was very shy. Although she was a performer, she was a dancer and a beautiful dancer.
A little bit from Kyle.
Oh yeah, Kyle's very introverted.
He's more introverted and shy, and you're more the outgoing fan.
But he's really come unto his own. He picked up golf 3 years ago, and that he has just got this whole gang of guys that he likes to go golf with.
He just can be taught new tricks.
Yes. And so she had a hard time. So in high school, she really struggled with having close connections. Mm-hmm. And she had some girlfriends here and there and some guy friends, but she had some years that she struggled in high school. It was really difficult for her. I think she had some depression, anxiety, which so many of our kids have these days. And then conversely, my younger daughter she'll tell you she's introverted, but she really has an extroverted streak about her because she reaches out to people. Okay. She goes after the underdog and helps them. She'll go hang out with the 80-year-old neighbor and sit and talk for hours. That's who she is. But she had a really close network of girlfriends growing up from the time she was 6, 7 years old, and they are still close. They're all having their babies and they're all, in that stage of motherhood, and they stay together. She started a book club in high school that they all joined, and it's still going. It's not very consistent anymore, but they still try to get together for that. So I've seen a big difference there. Mm-hmm. But my older daughter, I have seen her in her marriage flourish and develop really close female friendships. And it's changed her life. Really amazing.
So did she make those friends as couples that her?
Yes. And
did he help her to kind of create those friendships a little bit?
He did. My son-in-law is a huge extrovert.
Okay.
And we're the only two in the family, truly. But he is the life of the party. He's so fun. And
so you just have to find yourself an extrovert, somebody who is that gatherer, that connector. Mm-hmm. And that's okay, I think, if our personalities don't have that, because we aren't all things, mm-hmm. right? You can just in it, but yet if you're desiring friendship, because you said she did struggle with some depression mm-hmm. and some anxiety, she just needed to find somebody to help her. It just takes that one person to help mm-hmm. connect you and help bring you in.
And so she's developed friendships that she now and she has a few others that she's developed on her own too. But she's throwing baby showers all the time or wedding showers, or she's just really put herself out there and has great female friendships with all backgrounds. And I think her husband, Dallin, helped bring that confidence out of her. Yeah. And she's developed it. And the older she gets, she's in her late 20s now. So the older she gets, the more confident and the closer she is with these friends. She's had friends that she developed in her neighborhood too, really close girlfriends that moved away, and she's still really close with them. So I see that developing in her too, which is fun.
Well, and I have an inkling that a lot of this development for your daughters and the beautiful gifts that have come to them from friendship is because you're teaching that to them. And the reason I'm saying that is, well, because I know you, but also we're going to talk about this with our guests and listeners because I want them to hear this. When she walked in the door today, she gave me a gift. And I was ecstatic because I had heard this story before, and I'm so excited that I now am holding around my neck. And you probably can't see this, but I have a little tiny elephant necklace on my neck right now that is so, I know, zoom in if we can, but it's so meaningful to me because I know the story. And I love that you have taught this to your daughters, and she's given this same necklace. I feel so proud that I feel like a family member now since you've given it to her daughter. So tell the audience about this story.
I have. So it's a story that my youngest daughter's mother-in-law gave to us a couple Christmases ago, and she gave us this necklace. And I took this. I was crying, bawling through this story, and I loved it so much. I made a little shutterfly card and have given it to a few dear friends, women who I feel like the women in my life that truly empower others or gather. I think of women like you, and what you're doing with this podcast is you're gathering women. You're kind of bringing in the flock, and you're teaching them, to kind of gather each other and be there for each other. And, I love it.
I would need, thank you. I love that you're supporting me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It feels so good to be supported. I need to feel supported, and you all need to feel supported. But I am gathering. I want to gather us all, and I want everyone to feel included and important and special because I believe everybody is. But also, I love that I'm having conversations with different women because I'm learning and I'm growing and hearing what I need to hear. And hopefully you're hearing something that you need to hear. And we're learning from each other because we all have such bright lights that we need to shine and we need to share our light. And sometimes it's hard to do that. And sometimes we don't feel like there's anything that we, what value do I have to give? I mean, that's a common thought that I feel that most women feel. But the more we can support one another and uplift one another and learn from each other and just feel like we're all in this together.
We are
in this together. If we can do this together,
I agree.
Then we can move forward in beautiful ways. Okay. So tell the story.
Okay. I'll give a little
story
synopsis. Then I'm going to read a little part. Okay. I want to show, this is a picture. This is by David Yarrow. You can find this on the internet. I just found his picture. It's beautiful. So this is a whole group of female elephants, and you see a baby right in there. And the story this woman wrote, her name is Jen Hatmaker. She is a Christian writer. She's written several books. Yeah. But she talks about, I love this. So I'll read a little bit about it, but it's about female elephants. The thing that they do is when there's a predator, an outside source of, danger, or they're giving birth to their babies, the females gather in a circle and they protect each other. They protect that baby. They take their trunks and they blow sand and dirt all over the baby so that predators can't smell the baby. No one's getting in, not even the male. It's not the male elephant. You're out, bud.
Because we know how to do this.
That's exactly right. So I love this story, and I won't read it all because it's a little bit lengthy, but part of this I really like because I feel this way about women. I feel that we're really unique in our friendships and the things that we do for each other. And so, okay, I'll read the part. When the baby elephant is delivered, the sister elephants do two things. They kick sand or dirt over the newborn to protect its fragile skin from the sun. And then they all start trumpeting, a female celebration of new life, of sisterhood, of something beautiful being born in a harsh, wild world, despite enemies and attackers and predators and odds. Scientists tell us they normally take this formation in only two cases: under attack by predators like the lions, and during the birth of a new elephant. And this is what we girls do. When our sisters are vulnerable, when they are giving birth to new life, new ideas, new ministries, new spaces, when they are under attack, when they need their people to surround them as they create, deliver, heal, recover, we get in formation. We close ranks and literally have each other's backs. You want to mess with our sis? Come through us first. Good luck. And when delivery comes, when new life makes its entrance, when healing fully begins, I should have my glasses on. When the night has passed and our sister is ready to rise back up, we sound our trumpets because we saw it through together. We celebrate, we cheer, we raise our glass and give thanks. And this is written by Jen Hatmaker.
I just love that. I love all parts of that. And and this is what I was saying, your daughters have learned this from you because you value this. you brought this to me. You showed up for me when I was feeling discouraged and said, I love what you're doing.
Can I just say too, social media gets such a bad rap. I really feel like, and it is, I mean, some of it is just, you have to filter through a lot of garbage. But I saw Callie's reel, and she was interviewing a friend of mine, and the words that they said in this very quick reel just resonated with me. And I thought, we need this message more than ever, especially in this day, and especially in this time in our world. Women need to bond together, and they need to lift each other up.
We need to be elephants.
We need to be elephants and to embrace each other's. And the thing about social media is that you can see what women are striving to do. And then you always hear about, well, people are such haters. I've got some friends that are influencers or doing some great things, and they're always getting some terrible comments, and a lot from women.
Not necessary.
Not necessary. It's like, oh my gosh, hooray for them.
Yes.
We can learn from them. We can learn from what they're trying, their messages, and it helps us to be better. And so that's the beautiful part of social media and podcasts and things.
Well, and I can say it's not easy to put content out, or to be vulnerable and to post online. At least it's not for me.
Yeah.
And so I think if we can stop criticizing people for what they're trying to do and just think, oh, they're doing their best, or they're, trying to help, or look at it through that lens and just support one another. Just like let's just be supportive as a default. I don't think people need our criticism. I think people need to be cheered on, just like you said in that poem. I mean, it's just, that's what feels good. And it felt so good to be cheered on by you. And I so appreciate that you're showing up in the same way and living these values, and how beautiful that you have taught your daughters these values. And now they're, the fruits of friendship.
Not just my daughters, I want to tell you, my husband too. And I think it's important that our significant others do understand how important our female friends are. And, it's funny because my husband said, we have 2 little grandsons, very busy, age 2 and 4. And my husband, because we have more time, we spend a lot of time with them. And he said to my daughter, I can't believe how hard this is. And I looked at him like, I can't believe how hard. Our girls are closer together in age than these 2 little boys had. And he says, but he was working so much and not around. But it was those female friends I had that had children and were in the throes of it that got me through those years. Because he was like, you were bonding. This is the first time you've noticed how hard raising our kids were,
Yeah, he'll be careful to make that something again, won't he?
Yeah.
But he's getting to experience it. Well, and also, I find too, as grandparents, going back and doing that, it does feel a little harder. Oh, we're by far a little bit more tired. That's when you realize, that's why you have the kids when you're young.
Yes.
You have the energy to do it.
They can go home and you can get a good night's sleep.
Yes.
So that's really wonderful. But I really think it's important that we show our spouses, we show our daughters. When my girls were young, I would encourage them, throw parties at the house. I love that kind of stuff anyway. But I'm kindred spirit. It was, yes. So you talk about dancing. I was like the Paris Hilton with no money in LA, and took all my friends, let's go dancing every weekend and stuff. And I just like to dance for dancing's sake. But I feel it's important that, we teach our girls to lift one another. There's no competition there. There is only growth and love and support, and you becoming a better version of you through your female friends.
I just love that. So, Kim, I have to ask you, because it's one of my favorite questions. What dreams are you dreaming up right now? Or what dreams have you manifested recently? Well, because I want women to just be dreaming, to have that vision for themselves.
Well, one dream is, I talked a little briefly about my childhood trauma, that, divorce is hard. And sometimes divorce can be handled great, and sometimes it's not handled great. My parents were young and it wasn't handled great, but, so that was just really hard at that time. And so I had a very skewed vision of the world and people, and I was always on guard and I didn't trust people. And so one dream that has really flourished is the healing I had through having my own family. I would have missed out so much if I didn't have a family, I feel. And some people I have two sisters that don't have families and weren't able to have kids. And, but they have been brought into my family and are cherished and just loved so much. And that, like second moms. And so, but I feel that one dream of having the family I had, and I have a lot of miscarriages. So I was lucky to get the two that I have and very fortunate. And now I have grandchildren. And the thing that I have
get the marriage that you have.
Oh my gosh.
Because coming from a home like that.
Yeah. And his family's divorced too.
Yeah.
So yes.
And so, I mean, that is a dream come true.
Yeah.
To be able to come, be at this stage of life, to be living, with your spouse, getting to have the fruits of all that labor of raising the kids and with grandkids. Mm-hmm. I know you travel a lot together and have this beautiful marriage. That is a huge accomplishment.
That's a huge dream. That is a dream. If you would have told me at 21 you're going to have, I would have never, ever believed that. Mm-hmm. So that is my greatest, I feel, accomplishment. We worked hard and built a beautiful family and built the family we wish we had had growing up. Yes. And so that is a beautiful dream. And, we have a company that we have that we are looking to build a charity from this company and help women and children. So if anybody has, we're looking to really develop something. So if anybody has any kind of input or feedback, I'm open to that because that's kind of a passion of really helping raise women up and, liberate women and support women and support their children too, because they're the future. And, the thing is really interesting is because I had in my mind when I started out in life that, what you did for a living and what you accomplished and what you could physically show was your success. And I could not have been farther from the truth. It's my relationships with my friends and my family. That's what you take with you at the end of this life, Nothing else we build.
You're God, and I of course deeply know that and experience that.
Changed my life
completely.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. I love that dream. It's just something that's so close to my heart too. Just desire to support and help women in any way that we can, and uplift them, and of course their children and the future children they're going to have. There's nothing more important than doing that, because we women need to know how special we are, and that sacred role of mothering is so important, and that our dreams and our hopes are so important, and that we can have them, we can dream them, we can accomplish them, and we can do that together as pretty sisters.
And don't buy the lies out there in the world that tell you that you're less than because you're a mother, because this world does that. And I know that transition from full-time career woman to a mother was really difficult. I had to find my identity. Who am I? What, is this what I do? I wipe butts and noses all day long. What is this? It was really difficult for me, and it was very humbling. And then as the years go on and I just put my heart and soul into my family, the joy I just gained from that was surpassed anything I had ever accomplished in my life, And, we still are working and, we're not retiring or anything, but we've pulled way back. We put much more into our travels, our relationships, seeing our families, being with our kids. And so it's a very fulfilling stage. And those relationships is what I have to take to heaven with me.
I love that. Well, and I think when you, the relationships that become the strongest are the ones that we serve and give the most to. I think that's why we have to sacrifice so much for our children.
I think so.
We go through all those years of sacrifice, but we love them so much for it. I mean, even the 9 months of making them is terrible or hard, and for most,
really hard.
But so you got to go through all that, and you get that little miracle in your hands, and then you already love it so much because of all that work. So I guess anything worthwhile is you have to put an effort for it.
You do.
But when you put that effort in, the fruits are amazing.
Yeah. So keep doing this. So because you, as hard as this is, and as hard as content is, keep doing it, and it'll come, and you will change lives. You will help so many people.
Well, I hope so, and I hope so that we do that together. All of us pretty sisters, that we can support each other, change lives together, and be happier because of it. So thank you, Kim, for joining with me. It was such a fun conversation. I can't wait till we do it again in the future.
I love it.
I know you'll want to.
Yeah, I love it.
I know I'll want to do
I love
it
your
with you
message.
again.
Yeah, I love your message, and I want to help you get it out. I think it's good.
Thank you so much. And thank you all listeners for being with us today on the Pretty Sister podcast. Remember how pretty you are, how worthy, special, loved you are, and together we are all better. So stay pretty, and I'll see you next week.